Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Stutzman and welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. The Erie County Conservation District began in 1949 by farmers in response to then current unsustainable farming practices. The goal was to create an organization that promoted environmentally sound, sustainable agriculture. Today, the Conservation District services have expanded to include not only agriculture, but also waterway conservation, best management practices for construction, and environmental education for all ages. Joining us today to talk about what our local conservation district offers to Erie County residents is ECCD District Manager Tom McClure. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
We're excited to have you on the show. You are somewhat new to the Conservation District. You've been there a couple years now.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what brought you to the Conservation District?
Absolutely. My background dates back to my high school days, participating in the local Envirothon competition. And since then, I found a career in the forestry industry. And so I've always had that love of conservation and natural settings. And when I came back to Erie County, began working with a local fruit farm and joined the board of directors at the Conservation District. And from there, became district manager. So it's glad to be back in Erie County and involved in local conservation efforts.
Yeah, and this just seems like it was a real natural fit for you.
Absolutely.
And what does a conservation district do?
Well, you nailed it in your introduction. A district, just a little bit of background, like you said, back in response to the Dust Bowl in the 30s, districts were formed and looking to reduce the amount of soil loss that occurs on a farmer's field, looking to stabilize waterways, and really to work with farmers and establishing best management practices in terms of manure or nutrient loading in our streams, and also working with them and other residents on how to reduce sediment loading into our local waterways.
Mm-hmm. And so those are like your four main things. Tell me a little bit more, because you've got a great staff. We've had Kristen on our show before. She's your
Absolutely.
environmental educator. Why don't you dive a little bit deeper into your staff and what each one of them is doing and maybe what particular project they're working on?
Absolutely. We have a couple of erosion and sedimentation. We narrow that down. We call that E&S. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have a couple of E&S folks on staff that work with local contractors, developers, and municipalities in terms of the construction that goes on in Erie County. And so they look for ways through the state of Pennsylvania, going by the regulations, and we issue permits for that kind of activity that occurs in Erie County. And then, so we've got Jean Clement and Joseph Hudson do a great job in that regard. And then we have Bethany Fritz. She's our agricultural specialist, and she's the one that goes out into the field, works with farmers, talks about cover crops, and ways they can improve their barnyards and the way they till their fields or shouldn't till their fields in the right time of year. So any ag assistance that we can offer goes through Bethany. Kristen Courier, you mentioned, is our environmental educator. She works with all schools from the county to the city, and brings them in for field trips. In fact, this week we had Erie 4th grade come in and do our programming at Headwaters Park, which is a part of the district as well. And Kristen really does a good job with keeping the park maintained, executing those programs for the schools, and also scout programs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts. Mm-hmm. We offer that to them as well. And we also, it's not just young folks, it's collegiate groups and garden clubs and things like that. We try to let them know what we're all about, and Kristen does a good job doing that.
She does. When we had her on our show, oh my gosh, we were just talking a couple years ago, I think that was now. She was on talking about the rain barrel project that your organization was doing. So that's been 2 years now.
It's been a great project, and it really gave awareness to local folks about how a homeowner can practice water conservation in their own backyard. And a rain barrel is the perfect way to do that. And so we collaborated with local businesses, local artists, and agency folks to come up with a really nice rain barrel project, which you can see on display throughout the county. And we gave it a clever name of "Don't Give Up the Drip."
Right,
and
right.
it was a great success.
It really was, and you're right. My family has a rain barrel installed in my backyard too, and it's great to capture that rainwater coming off of your roof, and then you get to use it on your garden, and I don't have to turn on the faucet and fill up a bucket. So.
Absolutely, and if you have any questions about rain barrels and how to use them, how to install them, give us a call. We should be your first call for things like that, and we'd be glad to set you up with a rain barrel.
Of course.
And how to install it and put it to good use.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other project that you guys just wrapped up, and I also took part in this as well the last couple of years, I absolutely love it, is your Seedling Sale. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Our Seedling Sale is now, I believe, in its 37th year. It's an annual fundraiser, and it gives funds that go towards our environmental education program, including scholarships and ways for kids to get to the Conservation Leadership School at Penn State. It's a summer program, and we usually offer that to our Envirothon winners. So our Seedling Sale is a way for residents of Erie County and beyond to purchase plants for their properties. Whether it's one plant or 500 plants, we can take care of you. If you are interested, you can give us a call. We can put you on our mailing list or email list, and really the funds go to great use so we can continue our educational programming there at the district. Because we really don't receive any state funding for that. We're self-sustaining in that way.
Right. And I will say, even though it's a fundraiser, the prices on the plants are incredible. It's still a really, really great deal. I know that myself, I was really excited this year to grab another plum tree and some blueberry bushes. So I was really into the fruit trees and bushes this year. But you have a lot of plants other than fruit trees that are on the list.
Right. Our go-to is our evergreens, and also we offer deciduous trees, even plants like strawberries, asparagus, and garden-type plants. We'll offer those as well. But our fruit trees are always a big hit, and year after year, people come back and tell us how well they've grown and the fruit that they produce, and it's always been a great success.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and my personal preference, and I don't know why I tend to do this, but I tend to landscape with the fruit trees. So I planted the fruit trees in my backyard, my front yard. I don't want to hide them. I want everyone to see them. I've told all my neighbors, come pick the plums off of them. So,
Sure.
I love that. So, and then the other thing that is really exciting about your building, again, not only does it house the offices and the employees and all this great work you're doing for the environment, but you also house Headwaters Park. And that's really exciting. That's a hidden gem.
It is. In fact, people often say, I didn't know this was back here. And I'd like to just tell the world where Headwaters Park is. And we're located, obviously, in Millcreek Township, right off of Route 8 on Wager Road. And it's right behind our district offices. There's ample parking. And we have about 2.5 miles of hiking trail. And we see the parking lot full every day of hikers, bird watchers, even folks who want to take their dog for a walk. It's a great outdoor opportunity for all of those things, and we're open year-round. So if you are a cross-country skier or a snowshoer and you like to enjoy the cold temperatures that this area offers, you can come out and exercise in our park anytime you want.
And I think it's really neat when you like you said, ample parking. When you pull into your facility, the parking lot is like a porous pavement. Is that right, or a porous parking lot?
Right. That was something that we had tried at one time as a best management practice. It's seen its time, so to speak. But we do in our lower parking lot. We use recycled asphalt millings to keep that groomed and available for cars and trucks and visitors. So we found a good use for that material as well.
Right, and still recycled, so you're still doing your part for the environment. And Headwaters Park, Headwaters is a special name. Why is that?
Well, that area is actually the headwaters of Millcreek. And we gave it that name because it is a special place, one place that we are trying to put conservation to use and on display within the park. And that's through different practices, some stream bank stabilizations, ways to reduce the amount of sediment entering Millcreek, and trying to take care of a wetland area. We have about 20 acres of our park is wetland, and we're trying to take care of that area, which is important for bird habitat and also to keep the water quality on a high standard before it heads downhill into other parts of the township and eventually the city and eventually Lake Erie.
Right, and that's such a good point. It does end up in Lake Erie, and if you've never seen where a creek or a stream where it starts, this would be a great place to come take your dog and go for a walk through Headwaters Park.
Absolutely.
And you have a master site plan for the park?
Right. So back in 2013, we started the procedures of really saying, what are we going to do with this 70 acres of really natural land that for all to enjoy. And so we went through the process of developing a master site plan, taking inventory of trees, seeing what kind of issues we had to repair or improve, and also what are we going to do for the future of the park. And so a list was developed, and we've been hard at work trying to check those boxes off that list and make those improvements. And I can say we've done a lot in just 3 years, and we're actually in the process of applying for a new grant that would help expand our trails, add new overlook opportunities and recreational opportunities through a nature play area, and so for more people to enjoy Headwaters Park and give it its due.
And what do you see coming in the future for Headwaters Park?
Well, we're looking to expand the trail by probably another mile, and that would include some boardwalk areas and overlook areas in that wetland area that I mentioned. Through the grant, if we were to get that, there would be some ADA accessibility openings for those trails, and so it would then open the door for folks who may not have been able to enjoy Headwaters Park to come on out and see what's available to them.
And I really want to encourage our viewers to go out to Headwaters Park. It is beautiful, even just to go, and I know we've mentioned a couple times on the show, but I used to be an intern for the Erie County Conservation District, and just to go walk through the park and have your lunch in the park is very, very serene, very calming, and I just love being in the outdoors. So I highly encourage all of our viewers to do the same. What I want to get back to, what kind of programs, again, just besides Headwaters Park, what kind of programs does the district offer to residents?
So programming would include, that technical assistance that that would be available to them. So if they had questions on their gardens, if they had questions on the stream going through their backyard, or what do I do with this invasive species that's invading my property, we would be the first call. So I would say, we offer that technical assistance to Erie County residents. And the other programming, that goes along with that educational aspect. They could come out to the park. We could offer them a nature program for them, things like that.
Right. And you have, and I will say this, again, because I work there, I remember this specifically, but you have so many resources, again, just from your staff members, but just if you just go there and talk to the receptionist, there are so many brochures, pamphlets, handouts. There are so many wonderful resources. If you just stop in, and maybe you don't even know what you're looking for, but you have got it all covered.
Right. We are partners with many different agencies, not only in Erie County, but the state of Pennsylvania. And so we try to work hand in hand with those agencies. So if it's something that we don't specialize in, but we know who does, we'll certainly point you in the right direction, whether that be the Erie County Health Department or the Department of Planning, or maybe a state agency that might be able to better assist that resident. We may not have all the answers, but we can direct you in a way where you can get that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really highly encourage people, again, to just either visit your website or to actually stop and see you in person on Wager Road. The next thing I want to get into are the grants.
Absolutely.
Tell me, there's 3 grants that I want to touch on today.
Sure.
What are those?
Sure. We have currently available to agricultural producers in Erie County. We have an agricultural best management practice grant. So local ag producers, if they have manure or nutrient issues on their farms, they can call us and see how we may better assist financially to install those, maybe in their barnyard or out in their pasture. We can come up with some sort of solution to improve their property and where the cattle or livestock or horses might be.
So that was your agricultural best management practices. And again, I always want to direct people to your website or to your phone number for these. PA Vines program, which is vested in environmental sustainability. This is a neat one.
This is a neat one. It's a way to improve the health of Lake Erie. That's the bottom line. We all know about these hazardous algae blooms that occur in Lake Erie, and Erie County is the only county in Pennsylvania that is a connection to Lake Erie. So we're trying to do our part in working with one of the largest ag sectors of the county is our grape industry. And so we are working with local growers, East County and West County, to direct them to a self-assessment guide called the PA Vines Workbook. And what is Vines? Vines is an acronym for Vested in Sustainable Environmental Sustainability. I got it there. And what we're hoping for is for vineyard owners to improve the way that they're doing their farming, and that self-assessment guide is one step in the right direction. And also we're offering financial assistance for projects on the ground, whether that be through cover crop, which are grasses and other seeds planted between the vineyard rows, and also ways to improve the water courses that are flowing through their streams, whether it be stabilization practices, maybe adding some sort of vegetative buffer on those streams. And I'm happy to say we have several enrolled at this time. A lot of farms have gone through the workbook, and hopefully they're applying those practices that they're learning about from the book on their farm. So we want it to be a long-term program. In fact, we've brought on a new employee, Ryan Nadgett, has helped us really go dive into this program and take it to a new level. And so hopefully we can continue this on for many years to come. Oftentimes grants just come and go.
Right.
This is a program that we're going to continually apply for funds to keep it going well into the future.
And it's such an important one too, and I'm glad you brought it up, that the vineyards and the grape industry, in, like you said, on both sides of Erie, is considered farming. And
Absolutely.
we do need to apply best management practices so that the farming methods that are used are sustainable and good for the environment.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Was there something else you wanted to add to that program?
No, it's just a new program, and we're trying to get the word out to folks. And if there's any vineyard owner out there that is curious about the program, certainly give us a call. We can meet with you one-on-one.
Yes, I would love that, and I highly, highly encourage that, because like I said, we were talking about the program before the show here, and it just sounds extremely interesting and very, very beneficial. And then the next one I want to touch on is the Dirt and Gravel Low Volume Road Program.
Sure. So the district receives funding from the state of Pennsylvania to administer to local municipalities. And you wouldn't believe, there's a lot of dirt roads in Erie County still. And so we want to improve those roads so that the dirt and gravel that's on those roads stay on the roads, and we can improve those maintenance practices by improving the drainage, the base of those roads, and then eventually the surface of those roads. And so through a grant program, a locally controlled grant program, we can issue those funds to local municipalities. So that's the dirt and gravel part. There's also the low volume component, so that involves roads that might have some environmental impact, except they're paved or concrete or tarred and chipped. And so we can offer grant money to those municipalities that have what's called a low volume road, or a road that receives less than 500 cars per day.
Okay. And is that like a rolling application grant program, or is there a specific start and end time?
We offer that window usually in early October, where municipalities can apply to us, and meeting certain criteria, though all those applications then get ranked by a local quality assurance board, and then the cream rises to the top, so to speak, and then we issue those funds on a yearly basis. And so really, all told, we could in 1 year offer almost $500,000 to local municipalities for road improvements.
Wow, that's incredible. I really, really want to spread the word about that one, because that's a lot of funding and it can do a lot of good.
Right, so folks watching today, if they live on a dirt road and they want to know, hey, is my road available for this kind of funding? Contact your local supervisors, and they might have some more information for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or call us.
Absolutely, call you, call your township. That's wonderful.
right.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. And the last piece here before our show ends, unfortunately, would be, again, the environmental education. You've got Scout and School programs, Nature Immersion, and the Envirothon. Can you touch on each one of those quickly?
Sure. Scout programs, we have anything you'd want to do that matches up with the advancements of those scouting programs. The Nature Immersion program was a new program. It was an after-school program that we offered last fall. We hope to do that again, where we can bring the kids really from the Erie City School District out to Headwaters Park and immerse them in nature and talk about all their surroundings and get them introduced to those. I guess what was the last one?
The Envirothon.
The
most important, not the most important, but
the one that spurred my interest in conservation.
Yes, this is really, really just an awesome program for kids.
This is actually an international program, but it starts at the county level and goes statewide. And it's basically high school and middle schools can form teams and they learn about wildlife, forestry, soils, and other topics, and compete, usually in the springtime and during their Envirothon competition, which we host there at the district. And the winners of the high school competition then move on to states. And if you're a state winner, you can move on to that national and international competition. And I'm happy to say that some of our state representatives have come from Erie County. In fact, we've brought home a few national trophies over the years.
That is something to be very, very proud of.
We are.
We don't have much time left, and I am so sorry. We just have so much to talk about
we
here.
We do.
But I don't want to let our viewers leave here without talking about your Memorial Tree Trail program.
Right. So it's this new program, brand new, is something that we've developed through collaboration with a local Eagle Scout, Quinlan Barnes, Troop 57, and it's a way for folks to plant a tree in remembrance of a loved one, and the idea of it is to eventually plant a number of trees on the property at the district where we would establish a trail, and there would be memorial markers where folks can walk along and actually learn about a tree, its name, identification of it, and also have that deeper meaning of knowing that tree was placed in memory of someone. Mm-hmm. In fact, we recently held a ceremony where we dedicated our first tree to Phil Fatika. Mm-hmm. Phil Fatika was an Erie County councilman who was our liaison for the Conservation District, and was a real advocate for us in local government, and we're happy to dedicate that first tree to Phil.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that is really, really a great dedication to him. We know Phil very, very well, and we miss him greatly, and I love that tree is dedicated to him. Tom, I am so sorry. We are just about out of time here.
Oh, don't apologize. I'll come back.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you will, because I have really appreciated your time here with us here in the studio, and I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your programs with us.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Viewers, we have touched on a lot of information today during our show about environmental sustainability in your very own backyard. And again, if you have a loved one and you want to purchase one of these memorial trees, contact the Erie County Conservation District. They're going to help you out with that. We are putting all of their information, website, phone number, contact information on the screen so you can easily get in touch with them. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Millcreek Government Channel, and until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.